Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. Since ancient times, longevity has been a dream pursued by many, including emperors. For example, Emperor Taizong of Tang, one of the most renowned rulers in Chinese history, was obsessed with alchemy in his later years, hoping to extend his life through its practices. This clearly demonstrates the powerful allure of longevity. Here, we will explore this fascinating topic together. Emperor Jiajing's pursuit of immortality. It is well known that Emperor Jiajing was one of the most famous rulers of the Ming Dynasty. In the early years of his reign, he governed diligently, striving to reform the country. He reorganized the imperial court, weakened the power of the Directorate of Ceremonial, abolished the position of supervising eunuchs, and strictly regulated the surveillance system, clearly defining the responsibilities of the Eastern Depot, Western Depot, and judicial departments. Additionally, he appointed capable ministers such as Zhang Tsong and Xia Yan, learning from past dynastic experiences where eunuch dominance led to political chaos. By strictly controlling the eunuchs, he strengthened central authority, giving the government a fresh new outlook. However, in the later years of his rule, Emperor Jiajing gradually became indulgent and obsessed with Taoist practices and alchemy, desperately seeking immortality. It is said that he believed alchemy required large amounts of menstrual blood from young women. As a result, many palace maids suffered under his rule. The palace was filled with resentment, and some of the tortured maids could no longer endure their suffering. They even conspired to assassinate him during his sleeping hours, nearly succeeding. Fortunately for Emperor Jiajing, he was rescued at the last moment. However, after this incident, the imperial court imposed strict regulations. When a concubine attended to the emperor at night, she had to be stripped naked, wrapped in a blanket, and carried into his chamber by palace attendants. This practice even continued into the Qing Dynasty. This event highlights the emperor's extreme obsession with immortality, to the point where those around him could no longer bear it. Born in 1507, Emperor Jiajing passed away in 1567 at the age of 60. While this was not a particularly short lifespan for the time, it was relatively unimpressive given the privileged conditions of an emperor. In contrast, Emperor Qianlong, who also pursued indulgence in his later years, lived to be over 80. This suggests that Jiajing's prolonged consumption of so-called immortal elixirs may have actually harmed his health and shortened his life. As the saying goes, what the ruler does, the people follow. Since the emperor was so devoted to the pursuit of immortality, it naturally influenced the common people as well. During the Ming Dynasty, many citizens also began chasing these elusive dreams. One such person was Wang Shining, though his path differed from that of Emperor Jiajing. Wang Shining's search for longevity. According to historical records, Wang Shining was born into a wealthy family with a privileged background. Interestingly, from a young age, he often heard the elderly around him tell mysterious stories, many of which featured immortal beings. Being deeply influenced by these tales, he became fascinated by such a way of life. While his peers focused on their studies, hoping to pass the imperial examinations and bring honor to their families, Wang Shining was also engrossed in reading, but instead of studying the Confucian classics, he dedicated himself to books about longevity and spiritual cultivation. As time passed, he became increasingly consumed by his obsession with longevity. Though he understood that true immortality was impossible, he believed there were ways to significantly extend one's lifespan. By chance, Wang Shining heard rumors that in remote mountains, reclusive sages possessed profound knowledge of health and longevity. Determined to seek their wisdom, he left his home and embarked on a journey to find these hidden masters. Through his inquiries, he learned that the Sichuan region was known for its many such figures. Thus, he traversed great distances to reach Sichuan, where he was told of an elderly man who had lived 2 full cycles of the Chinese zodiac deep in the mountains. Wang Shining was overjoyed. He immediately set off in search of this person, and in the end, he truly found him. The man was an elder, with a head full of white hair, yet his youthful appearance made him look like a young man. His body was also quite agile, so much so that he could walk mountain paths even faster than Wang Shining. After catching up with him, Wang Shining wanted to ask about the secret to longevity. However, the elder simply told him that there was no such thing and then walked away. But Wang Shining did not give up and instead followed the elder to the place where he lived. At the time, Wang Shining thought he should try to move the elder with his sincerity. Even if he couldn't, simply observing the elder's way of life might allow him to learn something about longevity. Thus, several years passed in the blink of an eye. Over time, Wang Shining and the elder developed a deep friendship. And Wang Shining gradually came to understand the elder's real lifestyle. The elder ate only wild vegetables and dates every day. When he was thirsty, he drank from the natural mountain springs. The rest of his time was spent either meditating or exercising. At first, Wang Shining found this simple lifestyle difficult to adapt to. However, as time went on, his body did not weaken, instead, he became even stronger. It was at this point that the elder finally revealed to Wang Shining the so-called secret to longevity. Wild vegetables and dates are simple and light foods. But true well-being comes from inner peace and tranquility. In summary, it all comes down to 5 words: meditation and detachment from desires. Upon hearing the elder's words, Wang Shining had a sudden realization. He then descended the mountain and returned home. Not long after, he chose to live in seclusion and cultivate himself in a mountain near his hometown. At first, the villagers only found his actions strange. But as more than a decade passed, they were astonished to find that his appearance had not changed at all. And so, one person told 10, 10 told 100, Wang Shining's story of longevity spread far and wide. Many people who longed for immortality came to visit him. Wang Shining was generous and did not hesitate to share his methods of health preservation with them. Unfortunately, while many learned the theory, only a handful could truly put it into practice. The temptations of worldly pleasures and extravagant lifestyles were difficult for them to abandon. The deliciousness of lavish feasts made it hard for them to stick to a simple diet. The distractions of worldly affairs made it impossible for them to maintain inner peace. Without a tranquil mind, how could they truly achieve a heart free of desires? Eventually, news of Wang Shining reached the ears of the Ming Dynasty emperor. Hearing that Wang Shining was a sage-like figure, the emperor sent Wang Xian, a member of the imperial secret police, Jianhui, to find him. To his astonishment, when Wang Xian met Wang Shining, he discovered that this supposed immortal was actually an elder from his own family. Overcome with surprise and joy, Wang Xian earnestly invited Wang Shining to accompany him to the capital. However, on the journey to Beijing, Wang Shining unfortunately passed away at the age of 128. This outcome was not unexpected. On the one hand, he was already very old, and the long and arduous journey took a toll on his body. On the other hand, his long-established lifestyle had been disrupted, and he could no longer maintain his detached and tranquil state of mind. Naturally, his longevity was difficult to sustain. It is worth mentioning that this story is not merely a folk legend. It is actually recorded in the Ming Dynasty scholar Zheng Zhao's book Jin Yan, Modern Words. From this story, it is not difficult to see that the so-called secret to longevity actually comes down to 2 key elements: a simple diet and a peaceful mindset. Even in modern times, many people attempt to follow Wang Shining's methods of health preservation. Yet, very few can truly succeed. Why? Because too many people are trapped by worldly fame and pleasure. They treat health preservation as a superficial practice. But they cannot genuinely achieve inner peace and self-discipline. Therefore, the key to longevity is not just imitating the external aspects of a healthy lifestyle. Rather, it is about truly attaining a heart free of desires and a life of self-cultivation, while living in harmony with nature. Only in this way can one truly extend their lifespan, rather than merely appearing to do so. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone, and see you in the next time.